the hole at the lower temperature, and it slowly crystallizes on the other side. And this motion going through that baffle plate needs to happen like over 24 hours or something like that. And crystal grows inside, a monocrystal grows inside that chamber as it goes through. So that's pretty much what we're building right now.
You posted a picture of that to your Twitter a couple days ago.
I did, yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm pretty sure I liked and retweeted it.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that you're doing this science. This is how we're going to get it done, man.
Yes.
Part of the 24 hours of that crystal, though, is you have to make sure the temperature remains the exact same. If it drops even by 1 degree, it will completely alter the structure. But you probably already know that.
Yeah, you'll drop out of that point of criticality, and then the whole experiment's a waste.
The point of this thing is that it's going from the melting temperature to the freezing temperature as it falls down. So you do want a gradient over there. It's not about it staying the exact same. It's about it dropping down in temperature as it drops.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying your background temperature. Keep that.
Well, the background temperature, it's shielded from the background temperature. It only cares about temperature inside it. Just
okay. You're good then. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna keep it well shielded, well protected. We built a really nice fume hood. What is that? Is that aluminum aerogel there?
That is.
So awesome. That is the aluminum aerogel, and it is completely transparent. This stuff I collect. It's still completely.
Oh, the feds got him.
Oh no, that was us playing with it. Okay, can you?
There we go. Oop. Is it gonna? Why did my camera just like die? Oh, weird. There.
That was weird. Okay, show it to us.
That was weird.
Wow. Is that the shatter? Is that some killer shatter? No.
Made straight from aluminum, but I've actually turned zinc into the aerogel, like transparent metal as well, and I've had another guy email me pictures of silver that he turned into this transparent state that remained in that state, and I really do have to get him back on, and it's something else, man. This electrolysis stuff seems to be.
Don't get your aerogel mixed up with your shatter.
No, definitely don't.
Hey, Bernie, do you know the Kaminko zinc smelter in Trail, BC?
In Trail, BC, there's a zinc.
British Columbia. There's
I had no idea.
The biggest zinc smelter in North America. And if you go there, part of their industrial processes actually accidentally produce aerogel, much like you're saying. They produce some zinc aerogel compounds as just offshoots of the manufacturing process. Yeah. I was there many years ago.
Yeah, that's right close by me and where I travel during my summer vacation. So I will have to stop by there this next year. Get some on a large scale.
They'll give you a little zinc puck as a sample to take away.
That's cool.
So if you got those articles, I think the first time that this aluminum oxide, the transparent aluminum aerogel, was made was 1975, that's before I was born. So this stuff's been around for a while, and it isn't created all that often. The next time that I saw a scientific paper about it is 2019. So it's a pretty big time gap.
I'm gonna go grab another sample of some potential aerogel stuff from outside and be right back.
I think I
gotta find out where I can download that link from, guys, because I'm trying to get the I'm going to share my screen now that he's gone. But so this is the recent paper you sent me, investigation of the formation process of highly porous ALO aluminum oxide via citric acid assisted salt gel synthesis.
Yeah, so that's the most recent reproduction effort on it. I think it's by two guys in Germany, Simon Karstens and Dirk Enke. And they were producing the material that Mark needs most recently chronologically. Other than BurnEye. BurnEye has it, so just get it from BurnEye.
You said this material that is apparently from let's get into this metamaterial again. I want to get into this UFO metamaterial that Gary Nolan has.
Yeah, I'm pretty
tagged
sure
him in that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that article said that it was an aerogel. I don't know.
Yeah, so they put this out
I'll pull it up too.
5 years ago with this big mystery of what this piece is, and that it came from a UFO, and they don't know how it works. Metabunk did a little thing on it saying that it was industrial slag from some kind of smelting process, but I was not like super convinced by that. And then, we got Jeremy McGowan, who came out and said that, when he was teamed up with Elizondo, he was basically given this piece and told to drive it in his pickup truck, like across the country. When this should have been, if it was what they said it should have been under like armed security. So he just didn't understand the whole thing with the operation and what they were doing. As
far as I know, for the provenance of it, it crashed in Brazil. So it's gone from the sky, it shattered at some point, and it landed on the ground. So I don't think it's going to show the exact same material structure as is shown in this most modern paper, most likely because they're working on this material. They're adding those carbon nanotubes that Michael pointed out to make the material more structurally rigid. This sample of it that crashed in Brazil was from a few years ago, so it was likely further back in their reverse engineering tech chain. I agree with Michael, it doesn't show any evidence of the carbon nanotubes in the sample that Professor Gary Nolan has, but it does show the exact using the bismuth layers as a lithium layer. Sorry,
they figured out a way to screw with your stream, man, and your connection.
Michael, I know I said that we would talk about it yesterday, but I felt.
Jeez. Well, yeah, I want to, I wish Michael would come back and get to talk with you more directly about this now that he's had a little bit of time to look at it. I had some criticism in the chat that, Michael was, just learned about this yesterday, and, why is he commenting on it and stuff, and I would be nice to get all
That's
this.
Fine. We're all learning about this in real time. We're all learning about this in real time. The discussion's open. I don't take offense if someone's challenging this idea. This is not my creation. I'm just the investigative journalist that is digging this information back up.
This is fascinating. It's and you're apparently working with a group of people, this Korea UFO team, on this.
Yeah.
So as far as from the people that you've talked to and stuff, this you believe that this is a piece of a Chinese drone?
Correct. Yeah, I believe that it's technology that only China has too. This is not something that the DOE, Department of Energy, manufactures. They have a different aerogel.
You're muted, Complazart. Yeah, so I can see you, but you're muted, man. And I, what are you doing, man? Like, you're distracting me. Like, I'm trying to listen to this dude, and you're sitting there making faces, brother. All right, I'm just gonna put you in the back for now, because I'm trying to pay attention, and I can't. I can't fully. So this science, yeah. So this is good science because, here we have TTSA that came forward saying this is, UFO parts and metamaterials. Hal Puthoff did that thing, that presentation saying this is, some advanced, UFO metamaterials that uses terahertz to generate, polarizable vacuum fluctuations that, this space-time metric engineering technology. And they swindled a lot of investors,
I'm not
including
sure
one of
he's
my
right
one of
on
my
that. I
good
think
friends.
he's-
So I'm trying to get to come on the podcast soon. Mark knows who I'm talking about. Donated, got swindled for over $1 million, I believe, by TTSA in 2018 when they came forward, taking investors' money with the promises that they were going to bring this technology out and build spaceships for everyone.
Well, they did say that they were going to work on media as well, and
Yeah.
that's all they worked on.
Yeah, and that's all they worked on. They didn't do any science. Had they done real science, do you think they would have, obviously if this is a, program, they're not going to have direct access to all this information if they didn't work on it. But you're saying that the people that you're connected with and are doing the research are confident that this is the same material or part of a top secret research project. Now, the thing is,
our group is confident in our assessment that this is that and
this
that
is in
it
fact
is specifically
a
being used
man-made
as the hull of a drone. Yeah, it is 100% a man-made material that is layered bismuth and magnesium. It is 100% used as the structural hull of the aerogel drone itself and as the battery to supply power to the pumps. It's dual purpose.
And so
it's the shell and it's the battery.
So this is like an evacuated balloon, right? A vacuum balloon?
Yeah, if you read the descriptions of it, and I think Hal Puthoff mentions it in his talk himself, when they found these pieces, and there's multiple of them. I think if you watch the Jesse Michaels and Professor Gary Nolan interview on Alchemy American, they have like 5 or 6 pieces of it sitting on a table in front of them. So they were able to collect several parts of it, and all of them had a curve to them. So they looked like they were part of a larger sphere, just based on how they were shaped.
So they build a sphere, a hollow shell out of this, layered magnesium bismuth aerogel, which is structurally sound and solid. And then they pump the air out of that to make the thing like, lighter than air.
Buoyant, yeah.
Yeah. And then they propel it around by electrifying the shell of this thing. And because,
No. They propel it around with 2 pumps. One pump takes air or water in, and the other pump shoots the air or water out in a vector direction.
Interesting.
So they're sort of using the internal vacuum chamber as a pass-through when they are doing propulsion. So the medium air or water comes in through one of the pumps into the internal vacuum chamber and then immediately back out the other pump. And that second pump is vector thrustable, so you can point it in the opposite direction of where
Hey, Josh is here.
you wish the thrust to.
Hello again.
Michael Perrone.
All right,
What's
Michael's back.
So,
Hey,
one
Michael,
thing I don't
how are
understand.
you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Doing good? Doing okay?
So I read through the article again too. I agree. It's not an aerogel.
Right. Well, yeah. So the thing with this magnesium bismuth sample here is it also doesn't have carbon fiber running through it as the collector cathode or whatever. I think it cathode. Yeah. But so this bismuth magnesium structure, 3 to 5 microns of bismuth, it's extremely thin, and bismuth is a weak metal to begin with. So as you charge and discharge this, assuming it is a magnesium ion battery of some kind, the bismuth cathode material would probably fall apart really quickly. So I don't, and also based on that article, they were saying that as you charge and discharge this thing, the bismuth and magnesium form.
So just sorry to interject. If it's a cathode bismuth, it'll be okay. It's the anode that would erode on a material.
Yeah. So the cathodes, exactly. The bismuth is the cathode.
But cathode, if it's the cathode, it would actually survive.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So the bismuth is the cathode material. The magnesium is the anode material, sort of. Or sorry, I should say the bismuth is being used. I think if it's a battery, the bismuth here is the collector plate, sort of. It's not being corroded, but the magnesium is being corroded. So this would be an anode, but the bismuth wouldn't be corroded in the process. The problem is when you charge this, it would form bismuth magnesium intermetallics, according to that other paper. So I don't. It wouldn't stay separate bismuth and magnesium metal, as far as I know. And also,
it is 100% a battery. It is 100% a battery. If you go to the abstract, the first line of the abstract is, we present mesoporous bismuth nanosheets as a model to study the charge storage mechanism of MgBi systems in magnesium ion batteries.
Yeah. So the article is about a battery. I'm saying that the bismuth magnesium sample recovered, that's supposedly alien tech or who knows what, that is not. It's not mesoporous bismuth, and if we were to assume it's a battery, it's a very poorly designed battery. We're not getting your sound for. So we can't hear you for some reason.
Your sound cut out, and I want to understand the storage of energy, because energy storage is real different. There's a lot of
destroyed and shattered.
There seems to be a lag.
There's a huge lag in his channel. Hey, I don't know if someone's screwing with your connection, man.
I've faced this before. Yeah, I'm getting pinged all to hell. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me at all?
First case, yeah. Now we can.
And Jeremy, be nicer to those the legal guys, because that's still. I mean, it's unlikely. It's unlikely to work.
I wasn't flipping out on him, man. It was the trolls in the live stream. Okay. I wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean, you shouldn't. Don't attack people personally. That's not good.
I didn't attack him. I just.
Well, you know what I mean. Just.
I got him on. I promoted his channel. I helped a lot more people see that. But I'm getting. I don't want to make this about just one legal.
Well, yeah, all right. It's what's done is done. Let's move on. All right, yeah, Josh, go ahead and continue.
So I think there's two reasons that the sample doesn't show the same exact structure as the paper. They're from different times. The paper is 2020, and the sample, I believe, is from a couple years before that, but I would need the exact provenance from Hal Puthoff. It came from him originally. The things that you have to take into account, the rigidifying with the carbon nanotubes of the paper likely weren't in the sample, because that's probably improvement that they've been doing tech chain wise. So they started out with just trying to figure out how to layer these materials in thin micron depth layers. Vacuum depositing is how they do it. And they've then done enhancements and got to the point where that paper has been released with rigidifying internal carbon nanotubes. I think they actually stole that process from DOE.
I mean, that's pretty standard in battery tech.
DOE uses carbon nanotubes to rigidify.
Oh, they're pinging him again, and he's starting to break up. Man, this is crazy, dude. I can't hear a word he's saying. Guys, you're watching UFO everything disclosure tonight. I mean, sorry, this
catastrophic disclosure.
Catastrophic disclosure live. Let's get it right.
It's not that catastrophic yet. But anyway, yeah, Josh, it's I mean, graphite.
Michael, excuse me, if this is a piece of like, if he's accurately describing what this material is,
sample.
I mean,
like,
but I'm not
convinced to me. All right,
I'm not convinced that he is though.
You're not. I'm not convinced either yet. But if it's the best thing I've seen so far that comes anywhere close to anything in the literature that describes what this material is.
No, catastrophic disclosure would be if someone made a free energy machine.
Let's just get the science out. Come
on the stream.
Yeah, well, that's what this is about. Someone comes on here with, UFO technology, or someone's got like, hey, I worked in the program. Here's pictures of the aliens from work today.
So
yeah, that would be catastrophic disclosure. I mean, yeah, but even to describe this would be pretty cool.
Hey, Josh, your lag is still super bad. Is it possible to try kind of like rebooting and jumping back in?
Yeah, maybe reboot your computer, your router. I don't know.
Man.
It sounds like he's getting a network ping. I was talking to a guy last night about some of the technologies they have out there, man.
Oh yeah, like I've watched Dutch Sense, man. Like anyone that's watched him on the regular, knows just how capable the government now does of shutting internet down. And he went from he's down to DSL now, but like he's had every other type, including Starlink, and they were even shutting that off on him.
Your best bet is to have no twisted pair anywhere, because they have a device where they can go and clamp right around the cable of your twisted pair and hack right into the cable and your signal. So the best thing is direct fiber optic line the entire way. Even if you have any Wi-Fi networks, what they can do now is they can fly a drone over your house that picks up your Wi-Fi signal, repeats your router signals back to the router, so it can actually
canceling it out.
It cancels it out, and then when it tries to reconnect, it shoots the password and sends all that over in the packet data, so it can scoop up your passwords right through that. This is technology is no joke. And I was talking to a guy about it last night.
Let's see if we can find any of those people who worked on the secret projects who got the pictures of aliens who'd like to join us, guys. All you got to do is copy the StreamYard link and put it in there, and we'd be able to talk to you, get your information onto the air.
So the other thing, Jeremy, is with this bismuth magnesium material, if it's microporous, it is very unlikely that if it impacted the surface, it would have to impact the surface of the Earth at supersonic speeds in order to become fully dense, especially if it was a magnesium bismuth. Well, no, but actually magnesium bismuth, cold welds pretty well. But yeah, if this were a battery, then the aerogel drone would have had to hit the surface of the Earth very fast, and the terminal velocity of an aerogel drone would be very slow.
Exactly that, though. All
right.
They're all hypersonic, almost like.
Sorry, I'm trying to listen to you, Michael. Like, it's rude to interrupt.
Yeah, so the bismuth magnesium mesoporous structure. If you have a mesoporous structure, if you look at microelectromechanical devices and circuit board manufacturing, those tiny features on the surface. Yes, they're delicate, but if you're talking about macroscopic vibrations, those barely affect microelectromechanical devices or integrated circuit traces. So it's if you have a mesoporous composite or a microporous composite where you have pores on the order of a micron, 5 microns across.
So what's the
Those are
difference
two-
between mesoporous and microporous?
maybe mesoporous is slightly larger, but my point is, if you have these very, very small structures, then mechanically speaking, it's very unlikely that a mesoporous battery material or microporous battery material would impact the Earth with enough force to become fully dense. As we've seen the micrographs, we've seen the microscope images of the bismuth magnesium layered material, and it's fully dense. It's fully dense. There are no pores left in that material, so it would have had to hit the Earth very hard. And I mean, even if it flaked off of the aerogel drone so that it was no longer connected to the aerogel, it's mostly magnesium, so its density is not super high. So it would hit its terminal velocity way before it was moving fast enough to impact the Earth and become fully dense. So I don't know about that part of it either. I mean,
That is good analysis, Michael. Thank you. That is
what
good
about the
analysis.
possibility that this is related to dynamic nuclear orientation?
Again, we're trying to piece together a puzzle, knowing only what is public.
right. But yeah, I mean, even if the bismuth magnesium material is not related to any of the aerogel stuff, the aerogel stuff is still quite interesting as a possibility. I'm sure people have been trying to make. I mean, and yeah, I mean, even if you don't have a full vacuum, you could have a partial vacuum airship possibly, and there's a whole bunch of variables that really aren't explored much in the out in the open. I think people gave up on vacuum airships around the time of the Hindenburg, and that's a shame because there's a lot of science to explore there.
What about the possibility
Agreed.
that this is actually a way to transfer dynamic nuclear orientation into the core of the ship, like it's thin layers to get over the skin effect issue?
Yeah, I mean, if you're avoiding the skin effect, then an aerogel is a good way to do it. If you want to induce the Oberhauser effect or dynamic nuclear orientation, yes, a gel would be an effective way. I think that
I'm talking about the bismuth magnesium.
You're on a better path with the, well, hopefully a better path with the with your current approach with the pentacene dynamic nuclear orientation, because that so the Oberhauser effect based on the dynamic nuclear orientation book gives a multiplication factor of the dynamic nuclear orientation effect of about 1,000 at best, whereas
660.
So this is with the pentacene you're getting 250,000, so that's a much larger multiplication factor.
Yeah, well, that could be like the crystal that they talk about in the Vimanas, but I'm talking about the hull itself. Magnesium is noted as one of the better the better reservoirs for dynamic nuclear orientation, along with aluminum.
Well,
so
by the way,
the bismuth has some.
Let's
magnesium
rewatch this video.
Oh, just a moment before you do that, Jeremy. Let's not get sidetracked too quickly. Let's complete the thought here. Magnesium or aluminum as an aerogel would be extremely flammable, by the way. So that and titanium, I believe. I mean, it's basically.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Magnesium fires are no joke.
Like it's almost like if you're talking about thermobaric weapons.
Michael, have you seen the report?
This yellow fire extinguisher is for exactly that purpose. But what I'm getting at, it's a class D. What I'm getting at is the bismuth, magnesium, zinc layered material that we saw there in the last picture. It includes zinc as well too. Zinc being the iron group metal that can help transfer the dynamic nuclear orientation to the magnesium, and then the bismuth plays some role in it, maybe as an amplifier or something like that. and having all three materials together so they sort of like play off of each other. What's your thoughts on that with dynamic nuclear orientation via EPR?
I honestly I don't have enough information yet to go like deep on that. I need to read up more. Oh, and I wanted to finish talking with Josh, but he's gone.
Also, we do have the ability to make magnesium and bismuth layered materials here in the clean room. Problem is the zinc. I don't have high enough temperatures for that. I was hoping you'd be able to help me out with that.
What?
With your
with the zinc?
To get zinc layer on like vapor deposition. Don't you guys have
zinc vapor dep? Yeah, you should be able to do that with the tungsten boat that I got. Did I?
I don't think. No. Yeah. I have tungsten boats.
Josh.
It doesn't go hot enough.
Oh.
It needs one of those microwave machines.
Oh, you mean the sputter coater?
Yeah, it needs a sputter coater. Yes.
That doesn't make sense. The zinc fumes should be. The zinc boils at a relatively low temperature. You should be able to do it at 1,000. No? Let me just double check that. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah, boiling point of zinc is 907 Celsius. So that should be perfect.
Oh, yeah, we should be able to do it. Yeah, we should be able to do it then. Okay.
Yeah.
So I could literally make that Linda Moulton Howe sample right here in the clean room right there.
Not really, because you'd need to mix the magnesium and aluminum, which have higher boiling points. But
mix them? Why do you have to mix magnesium and aluminum?
So it's that. Sorry, not aluminum. Magnesium and zinc. But basically it's a mixture of magnesium and zinc in the layers, based on the SEM images of the layering. But anyway,
interesting because Alzafon says you got to mix aluminum and iron. Aluminum being similar to magnesium, zinc being in the iron ferrous materials group. So wow, that is very interesting. That does point towards the Alzafon theory.
Well, anyways, I should wrap up for the night and get to bed. But the zinc aerogel thing, that was pretty cool that he mentioned that. I've had some experience with that. I made this little mini metal melter thing once, and I put some zinc in it. I was melting mostly silver, and then I tried some zinc. It caught fire, and it was thankfully it was a small amount of zinc, but it's really cool actually when the zinc burns. It like makes this flame, and then the shape of the flame looks like it freezes. Like I wouldn't breathe it in. It's bad. It's bad for your lungs and nose. There's a metal fume fever, but it's super cool to see. If you've ever seen like a little piece of zinc burn, it actually like makes a little wick, like a little flame shape, and then freezes like that. The zinc oxide, it forms this metal fume. It's the coolest thing, but also, yeah. I mean, you will get sick with cold for the next 2 days after you see something like that. It's that bad for your nose and lungs.
Have proper ventilation and personal safety equipment.
Don't do that at home, perhaps, but maybe there's a video around somewhere. But yeah, zinc aerogel, zinc fume. It's
or styro pyro when you need them. Sorry.
I know, right? Anyway, well, I guess Josh, we'll talk some other time. Have a good night.
Nice.
I think we got through enough.
Guys.
I think. I mean, I mentioned the aerogel, the zinc stuff a little bit, but yeah. I mean, yeah. If people can make vacuum balloons, I know for sure Google has a big network of like they have the Google Balloon project. So Google already has a network of balloons, I think. So if China and the U.S. have vacuum balloon technology, then it would be a no-brainer to. It would be way cheaper, first off, than a satellite network. if you want a spy network, you just have aerogel balloons. And like aerogel being transparent and similar to air in its refractive index, you could blend that in to the sky way easier. Like it's not going to like look out of place, or
It's
it's
transparent.
camouflage is already
Right.
with the sky, you know. So, yeah, I mean, there's private companies doing this. I would be surprised if the major nations of the world didn't already have spy networks based off of vacuum balloons or just normal balloons.
I have two little ideas I want to run by you, Mike, before you go, and Mark and Jeremy. With these, two things I envision is that they would be rotating the shell of the aerogel compared to the center potentially as a charge or aspect of it, and also that you would have some sort of like advanced T-Townsend ground like electrogravitic shell or like charged like field around the craft as well, the outside.
I feel there's really no reason to over-engineer that. I mean, it already works on its own. It has to. I mean, all you need is a sphere of this stuff with like some Knudsen pumps and some small photovoltaic cells, and you're good to go. You would just float indefinitely, and it's very simple and uses standard existing technology, and it's really not that far out there in terms of an idea. But it's also not very practical for propulsion stuff. So I don't know. At least not for well, I mean, that's not necessarily true. You could launch some sort of CubeSat arrangement with this that could get into outer space because it's already buoyant, so it can just float up there and slowly build up speed. So there's ways it could be done. Those ways are not going to lift a person into space anytime soon. But if you want to get small satellites into orbit, well, I mean, there's other ways too. There's raccoons. I heard DARPA was doing this thing where they were launching CubeSats off of F-35s or something. So they would have a rocket and they would just launch it from an F-35. So it's already positioned all the way up there. And, you know, they got all sorts of ways to get stuff into space. They don't have to use a spaceport necessarily. So, and yeah, I mean, it's unlikely that if the government's willing to like run drugs for a black budget, it's unlikely that they're going to keep all of their space stuff registered. I mean,
yeah, well,
I'm
Bigelow
sure
started this whole company to try to get the UFO materials from the government. And these apparently came from Bigelow, right? That's what these materials came from. I got to watch this news report because it's been a while since I've seen this. Can I please play this?
Oh, go ahead.
For years, one of the secret studies was carried out by BASS, a Las Vegas operation hidden within Bigelow Aerospace. Documents first reported by the I-Team show that BASS landed a contract with the DIA, and one of the objectives was to study so-called metamaterials, as well as futuristic technologies.
It was a multi-layered bismuth and magnesium sample. Bismuth layers less than a human hair. Magnesium samples about 10 times the size of a human hair. Supposedly picked up in the crash retrieval of an advanced aerospace vehicle. Looks like it's been in a crash.
In Las Vegas back in June, physicist Hal Puthoff came pretty close to saying that this weird wedge of metamaterial came from a crashed saucer, but he can't know for sure. Puthoff and his colleague, Dr. Eric Davis, are on the cutting edge of attempts to identify an assortment of bits and pieces that are seemingly beyond anything we can create. This one sample is engineered in layers thinner than microns through a process unknown on Earth and for a purpose we can only guess.
Well, that's
Nowhere
not
could we
technically
find
true.
any evidence that anybody ever made one of these.
Yeah.
When we talk to
The thin
people
layers are
who,
multiple microns. They're still the bismuth layers are at least 3 microns according to the documentation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get the point. I mean, it's the news media; they mess up the science some.
It's George Knapp. So
I want to point out Modumetal. Bring that up again. That's a company that can make this stuff in principle. Remember Modumetal?
yeah, I emailed them. They never got back to me.
Weird. Maybe I can reach out with my connections more in this area on the East Coast. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't good enough with the language and the material science. You'd do much
Yeah,
better.
I probably
Sure.
get it. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, Modumetal, they do a whole bunch of cool stuff, and they can certainly make a magnesium bismuth layered material like this. If typically they do things like this for anti-corrosion purposes, so they'll take like nickel and zinc or aluminum and chromium, and they'll basically make a layered material like this, and it minimizes the corrosion rate of the material, because basically, like, if you have this material that's coated onto the surface, then if it's like inexpensive like zinc or something, it still has to eat through a layer of nickel to get to the next layer of zinc, and so on and so forth. So like the corrosion properties are improved.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure this has got to be man-made, and it's got to be the idea. It's some Chinese technology wouldn't surprise me at all. I just I'm not sold that completely that it's this magnesium bismuth aerogel that these guys are talking about. And I'd like to see. I want to see more patents and more science. If we can trace back these scientists,
Sir, but he
I'm going to look at the patents that he sent me, and we're going to reach out to those scientists and see if we can interview some of them. Some of them might have more information. So this is not over. Guys,
just a catastrophic day 2 disclosure, right?
This is day 2 of catastrophic disclosure tonight, and I mean this catastrophic disclosure live. And as we saw, they kind of showed us what will happen if someone gets on here. If we get UFO Snowden on here, he's going to get pinged to death. Like there's no way. I don't think he'd even be able to get through. I think they would instantly ping him out. And that was kind of like a warning to say, like, hey guys, we know what you're up to here, and we're watching now. And
or we're just unlucky, and it was bad. Just like
maybe it was just a bad connection. Who knows?
Yeah, like sometimes it's just like a tree falls somewhere, it hits some wires, it puts the power out at the nearest cell tower, and then you're done for a couple minutes until they power up the next backup. But yeah, I mean, be cautious out there.
Yeah, well, whatever, we're doing it, man. It's if they just told the truth or investigated themselves properly or passed legitimate legislation to like open up the doors for disclosure, then we wouldn't have to do all this. We wouldn't. But like honestly, someone's got to do it, and someone with
like the most likely thing is someone will reinvent it entirely, at least in its initial form, and then like. If there are technologies there, I don't think they're just going to get out through the government, or it wouldn't be the government anyway. It's in private hands. It's usually
if it happens 3 times, it's enemy action. Look, right?
Yeah, I mean, right. Well, I don't know. I mean, has it happened 3?
No, it's just I don't know if one stream is enough. It's only happened. It didn't happen on day number 1, but it's happening today on day number 2. So we'll see.
That's fair. I mean, you can at least like goad them into stopping, because then they got to maintain plausible deniability. So that's true. If you see a pattern, then that's a way of dealing with it. You can point it out.
We got some new people backstage. I'm going to bring in to the discussion here.
All right, I'll probably head out.
Jeremy,
have fun.
Welcome, Nick.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, about terahertz waveguides. I'm just getting into we're going to start my associates pretty soon in the middle of the year. So, but terahertz is not in like the nano size level, just like to rehash, right?
It's terahertz. The spectrum we're talking about is like 1 to 9 terahertz. We're thinking it is, and that's the frequency that's kind of associated with the distance of the atom and the electron shell itself. So when you start fine tuning to the distances which correspond to matter, it's themselves, there's like this gap. It's hard to see those frequencies because of the effects of how they interact with matter and the electron cloud structure itself.
So on the spectrometer, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It would be a very messy signal then, right? That's what you would.
It's hard to make detectors or transmitters on those frequencies because it's
not physical.
Taylor, are you UFO Snowden? New face here.
Not firsthand knowledge. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
So I wanted to actually sort of pitch a really interesting resource. So my specialty is in books, collecting quotes and sort of getting a full view of things. I'm not working directly on the science like you guys, but there's this book called Adventures to the Planet Gok in 1985. And this is a Chinese man who says he was abducted at the age of 19, taken to an alien planet. For about 30 days is what he spent on this planet. And what's interesting about this book is that it has quite a few bits of conversations on technological explanations of the flight principles of these Gok people's UFOs. And unlike most abductions in which they do not reveal these types of knowledge, they seem to open up into a full conversation. So this is a pretty unique case, and I'll try and do my best to try and give you some of these concepts on the flying saucers. But obviously, so one of their main principles is that they need to hit light speed, they need to make the flying saucer have a mass of 0. And they do that using the high energy electromagnetic fields. One of the things that is in the book is they say that the outer edge of the circular UFO actually works almost like the Hadron Collider, for the purpose of creating almost creating maybe like a tunnel. But anyway, it has to do with converting electricity into manipulating the gravitational waves. And they also mentioned that, so when they're in the 0 mass stage, they can go at like light speed, but they have to use computers to still navigate, because it's almost like they say that they are irradiating space with something that they call an artificial field, which works on gravitational fields. But when they get to the atmosphere, they basically do this switching maneuver where they call it switching space-time states, and they actually flick on and off at high speeds. And this is how going from the 0 mass state to a very light mass of the craft. And in doing this is how they appear to make these 90-degree right channel turns in our atmosphere without excessive G-forces on the craft occupants. Let me see what else here. And I put this book into ChatGPT, and I have a retrieval program. So if you have specific questions, I can enter it in here, and it can give you, and I can kind of quote back the knowledge. I don't want to keep ranting on what's in this book, but
this sounds interesting. And it was in 85 that this was published, and he's talking about some of these ideas.
He was abducted in 1985. He says he's been posting online for like 30 some years. This book is, you can see the publication date in 2022. It's translated from Chinese, but it's pretty good translation. But like, if you want a layman's view of like the full philosophy of what do we need to understand scientifically to achieve the flying saucer state, this does it. The only thing it doesn't do is give you the equations. They talk about how there are some mathematics involved, but they lay out like a solid abstract. And I think any scientist could be impressed, because it acknowledges the fundamental differences in science that we need to get to in order to fully understand UFOs. So when you look at it like that, then it gives you, I think, a way. It points you in directions to go, and it also probably helps you decide, or maybe if you're going to take their philosophy, then when you do look at the scientific papers, you can start to filter them based on this philosophy and try to back it up with what we're currently on the edge of. Another claim is that they say that space itself is actually in motion, and there's something with, they describe space has a right-hand spiral turn, and if you understand this, it helps you kind of master gravity. I don't know what that means. I would have to, let me try and search that up. What is the right hand spiral?
Oh, that's very
turn
simple.
of
That's the right
space?
hand. That's the right hand law of electromagnetism.
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely, Mark.
Yeah,
electron
it's not a
travels one way.
left-hand
And then
rule. You know,
it's the right hand rule. The left hand rule is for antimatter.
yeah, in the mirror universe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is so what's your Taylor, what's the first UFO book you ever read?
So I started with Mysterious Universe, the podcast. So they summarize tons of books. So I have like I don't know. Let's see. The first one that I actually jumped into from
Mine
that
was
podcast was, it was called Chronicles from the Future, and I'm actually more interested in the psychic side of the UFO phenomena. But yeah, Chronicles from the Future was a guy who went. He fell asleep for a year because he has this encephalitis lethargica, and he says that he wakes up like 2,000 years in the future, and he lives there for a year, and he describes it. So that was my favorite first book. It's not directly UFO related, but they do have saucer-like craft in that book as well. Here I have a. Do you want me to read this right-hand spiral explanation that they're trying to say?
This is a good one.
Sure.
Unconventional Flying Objects by Paul Hill. There's a NASA scientist who, like, his daughter found all his notes and published them into a book about, because more proof that NASA was studying UFOs during a time that they were ridiculing the public for them.
And according to Gary McKinnon, also editing them out of photos. Taylor, please do see what this book says on that right-hand rule you're about to say.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Yeah, so it says the right-hand spiral turn of space is a concept that describes the movement of space itself as existing in a state of cylindrical spiral motion. To conceptualize it, think of holding the spiral space with your right hand, the forefingers representing the direction of the spiral, while the thumb points in the direction of linear motion. This cylindrical spiral motion is made up of both rotational motion and linear motion that occurs perpendicular to the plane of rotation. This sounds like it took.
That makes sense with, the Earth, the Moon, the Earth, the Sun, the center of the galaxy, and then the center of the universe, like the spinning and spinning and spinning, right?
Yeah, so the plane of rotation will be the direction your fingers curl around in, and the perpendicular vector would be your thumb.
So they use this example where they talk about the thumb, and they're telling the guy that they abducted, if you hold the flying saucer like this, and the edge is around your fingers, you're actually flying through space like bottoms up. You're not flying flat, which we've heard that from Bob Lazar. He said it like points to 3 gravity wave generators, and it actually is flying. It's almost like flying through a tube. And this is what I was trying to get to earlier, is that they almost make it sound like they're, I don't know if they, well, I'll end that there, but they're flying this way when they're flying at light speed. They're not flying flat like when they're flying in our atmosphere.
And you think that they're corkscrewing through space rather than linear, kind of, they're...
Yeah, because it's related to that gravitational. We're getting around gravity
like
in order to
torsion,
achieve light speed.
Torsion fields and stuff is what it sounds like. If the space-time spinning right-handed, you spin left-hand. I don't know.
That makes sense in my mind.
Have to. They're falling. Yeah, they're falling. They're falling upwards because of the way that they've warped space-time around them. That's what I've always thought.
So it's like the leftover motion of like all of the gravity of the mass of all of like the stars, planets, and everything moving in their orbits, and then like the leftover remnants, I guess. So you're like reversing it essentially, and how it. I don't know. Trying to conceptualize, rationalize it.
You're watching Disclosure, Catastrophic Disclosure Live. I'm your host, Jeremy Riss. UFO Snowden, are you out there? Get in here. Here's the link. Jump on.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who's that?
Okay, I just posted a link to a lady's example of it's a good analogy to do with the space-time curvature. Just share your screen and it's only like 2 minutes, this woman's analogy, but it does have something to do with that right-handedness, or at least I think maybe. Just have a quick go at this woman's analogy for space-time curvature from it's about 9 minutes in that video.
Now, because you know the equation of the universe, and the music agrees with me, definitely. So you can see this Z, that's redshift, okay? And there are these other components that we call them omega, and they are the different components of the universe. And the proportion of these components tells us what kind of universe we have. So if you go to the next slide, okay. So we're going to bake a universe, okay? Yeah, we are using this equation. We have this cake which represents the universe, okay? We have the first one, that is omega R, or radiation, which is an equivalent of the fire that lights the cake, when it's baking. The next one, it's omega matter. So that's dark matter, that's baryonic matter, the thing we're made of, stars, gas, everything else. Then we have something very weird, like the curvature of the universe, and the only analogy you can use is like the shape of the pan in which you're baking the cake, okay? And you have something else that got hidden over there, which is called dark energy, that we really have no idea yet what it is. But in a way, it's like the yeast of the cake, because the more you put, the faster the universe expands. And finally, we have the Hubble constant, which is the term that you have closer to the beginning of the equation, that just tells us the rate today of the expansion of the universe. So if something is 1 megaparsec, which is just a unit of distance, from us, it will move at 70 kilometers per second away from us. Okay, that's what it tells us. Okay, so now we use this cosmic microwave background to measure the oscillations of this radiation, and we can see more or less like the relative quantities of this. So we know we have a lot of dark energy. Almost 70% of everything we know is dark energy. So the universe is really expanding, and not only expanding, but also expanding accelerated today.
All right, so explain this again. Sorry.
Oh, I was just thinking that K value is probably to do with this curvature, that right-handedness. The only other example I can really think of is I think Veritasium has Steve Mould has a thing on why sugar twists light to clockwise. I think that's the only other input I can really have on that.
Oh, that's like chirality of molecules, right? So
yeah, why there is this bias.
Yeah, sugar has a certain chirality, and it's actually like you can make sugar with the opposite chirality, and it doesn't metabolize the same.
Yeah, that's right. It's like life
still tastes sweet, right? It tastes a little bit different too, right?
I'm not sure. I'm just referring mostly to the physics, so it's just odd how it sort of twists it clockwise like that. But yeah, it's something to do with that K value and the curvature, just in my speculatory opinion.
All right. Hey, we're full, and someone's trying to join. And I'm gonna have to let.
I don't mind just dropping out. I don't mind hanging in the background.
All right. If you guys, Lulu's in the background. Lulu, I'm sorry. I'm trying to let people in. I'm gonna just boot a couple people out. Sebastian, welcome.
What's going on, Jeremy? It's been a while.
Yeah, there should be a spot open now. We have, if whoever's trying to get in, just know that you can just keep trying. You'll get in. Yeah, so we're doing Catastrophic Disclosure Live because the government is incapable of investigating itself or telling the truth, and they want us to wait 25 years and pull a JFK Records Review Board Act on us, where they, that date of 25 years will come and go, and we still won't get the truth. So we're done with that, and we're asking, the public for the public's help to, bring this out, and any way possible. You can. I got to think of more creative ways that I could set up dead drops and other locations where people can more discreetly get files and information to me, because I'm on a mission to go all out and bring disclosure to the American people for the government, because they're not capable of doing it for us. So
I don't think it's possible to stop this anymore. I think between the scientists who are working on this and those that are being spoken to, directly, I think we're going to see a real heightening in the amount of information that we're seeing. I mean, certainly, kind of in my own world, I'm seeing the amount of information that's coming this way that is not really comes from places which are unexpected, and also just of a nature that are unexpected is pretty wild. Like, I don't know how much you've seen, Jeremy, of my recent work, but a lot of that is kind of directly related to all of this and this phenomena. So, yeah, I don't know if you want me to talk about it, but.
All right, so there's people out there that still don't really know what happened with Ning Li and AC gravity and all that. I think that's interesting. So I'll refer back to that stream if people have missed that, because there's a lot of disclosure that happened on this channel too. Just like that gentleman Brad who came on earlier and shared that phone call that should have gotten more views than it did. There's lots of stuff that's gone on here right on Alien Scientist that should have gotten more attention than it did. And if you go and type Ning Li in, on my channel, you'll find this stream from, it's 2 years ago already. Wow. And then we did an update on Ning Li from that. And then this was the better stream that we did after that, where we actually got Tony. Yeah, this is a good one. Tony Robertson actually jumped on this stream towards the about 3/4 of maybe towards the end. When was Tony on? Was this one? I thought this was the one. I don't see him on anywhere. This might not be the right file. Oh, God. Where's the one with Tony Robertson where he comes on and tells the whole story? That was the APEC one. Second.
Not sure how helpful it will be, Jeremy, but I did want to offer my help in terms of kind of seeing if there's anything we can do with academic connections. I'm working at a lab at UConn now, so
okay.
Yeah, if there's any kind of thing I can do to help connect you or with anybody, I have a larger network now relative to that.
So I'm trying to look up this. This isn't the one. Because there's a one where we interviewed Tony Robertson, who's a NASA scientist that worked directly with Ning Li. And he came on and basically spilled the name of the paper that the whole idea came from. A graduate student wrote this physics paper, and he drops the name of the graduate student and that paper. And we've done a lot of streams on. This was the one. This is the one. Yeah, so this is the one right here. I'll post this in the live chat so people can go and check this video out if you want to know what happened with the Ning Li story and what was up with that. This is directly from the source. I mean, these are the people that worked with her at NASA and were there. So I don't know what else to say, but Tony Robertson, I met him in person. He's working for Kepler Aerospace now with John Brandenburg and a couple of these other guys that are doing great work. So, my hats go off to these people for bringing this all out. And this isn't this still isn't the video that I was.
Like Ning Li goes all the way back to like 2004 here. I've got all of her papers here, 2004, 2003.
Yeah, that was the Ning Li story. I'm just trying to find there's. I don't know why this video is not showing up. If it got deleted or something happened to it or what. But I had the link to the paper and all that information in it and the interview on it, man. I
have that paper. I have all the links to all that work. It's all in this Google.
I hate how this stuff gets fractionated and lost. It's like they're covering it up again as we speak, dude. It's like people don't pay attention to this stuff, and then and they get the crap that gets out there. And it's good that we get this on to discuss it, but I'd like to do more follow-ups and more deep dives on this stuff. And we already did that, but then it sucks when I can't find the information, dude. And like YouTube literally just hides stuff, dude.
From your own channel.
I thought this was the video, but it should have right in the description a link to this graduate student's paper. Is this the one? Nope. Nope. These are just articles about it, but there's a paper I'm trying to find. David Noever? No, it's not David Noever. That's the NASA guy that worked with her at NASA. I'm talking about the graduate student that they borrowed the whole idea from. And Tony Robertson went over this in one of our other broadcasts. Maybe I have to search for Tony Robertson on there. Man, I hate this.
Not sure.
Second year. Yeah. Because there was one that Tony Robertson came on and dropped all that information. Maybe that was the APEC conference. So I got to go back and watch these again. Maybe other people can and tell me. I need to start taking down stuff and just reposting stuff like condensed short video summaries of all like the key important stuff, because it's just there's so much great information that's lost inside these long streams and videos that a lot of people honestly are not going to watch. So I need like a help with like an archivist. I like to go to like I need to get film studio and some editors or something, man. There's just so much that needs to be done. And
so I work in AI, and one of the products that we have right now is essentially a document management system that's AI driven, and that's exactly what it does. It essentially can go through a mountain of documentation, find information, as well as restructure all that information into new information. I use this kind of stuff all the time. I don't know what I would do without it. I mean, you and I should just spend some time offline, and I can help you hook it up to the Google org, and then just have it get to work. It should be pretty straightforward to do that.
Yeah.
So if you have some time, just reach out to me and let's do it. I can help you with that.
Yeah, it would be nice to get all this clipped up somehow out of the archives, because there's a lot of great information that we've already gone over and covered and done the investigations on. And people are like, "Oh, what about this?" And it's like, dude,
how would you like to have an AI searchable database? I have access to this entire database, dude. I can just hook up like a chatbot to it, and it could literally then you could just chat with the information.
We already got that AI set up with our data. We have a database of all the papers and files on the UFO stuff that we've saved for years.
But can you talk? Can you like talk to the database? Because that's what I can do. I can make it so you can chat with the database, and then
the AI will interact with the database. We set it up, and we had to shut it down because like all the papers in our archive is a lot of copywritten stuff, a lot of stuff that's been like was published, and then like they a different publisher brought it out and censored it because it's how another way they classify stuff or bring it back out of the public domain. attempt to hamper on it. So a lot of the stuff was like sensitive kind of info. We I'm gonna find the drive for you guys just to show you some of the stuff that's in it. A lot of the stuff's been taken out of it just because we were trying to share it with a larger audience and make it more shareable, because you can't sell something that uses other people's copyrighted material for its database. So it's like, but we have is the largest, depository of documents on, UFO technology anywhere out there. As far as I know, in the public domain, there's and this isn't it. This isn't even the database. So Terran Earthling is I don't know if he's out there in the live chat or where he is, but
hey Jeremy, I don't know if you can hear me. I was on earlier and had to drop, but when you shared the photo of Prescott Bush and Nixon, I was told, I believe by Danny Sheehan in one of his videos, that the guy in the middle of the photo is Jack Ruby. And when you had this image search up, I clearly saw the photo, and I didn't know if you knew that, but that's why I called in. I'm amazed I'm on the live stream, but love your work, and I'm going to drop off and just listen.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, that was some good stuff. Let's go back to that image. There's a bunch of them out there, right? So let's find that here.
Yeah, it's when you did the search, and it was the main, you had the photo up, and you were talking about, Bush was touching, yeah.
Well, that's not Ruby. But I know Nixon was associated with Ruby. And Ruby worked with, has some kind of affiliation with Nixon. But
if you watched any of the Danny Sheehan Romero Institute, he's got a whole semester's worth of lectures he's done on the JFK alternative theories. And I believe he presented that. That's where I first really got into this topic. But thanks again. I'm going to mute and go off cam.
Well, Jack Ruby, after shooting Oswald and getting tackled by the Dallas police in the Dallas police headquarters basement, started kicking and screaming like, "Oh, what's going on? I'm Jack Ruby. What are you guys doing?" He didn't even realize that he had shot the president, and even claimed he had no memory of it. So it's interesting around that time that that the people that they were surrounded by were the CIA running MK Ultra mind control experiments, where they were trying to create Manchurian candidates, hypnotized patsies, that they could hypnotize someone into doing something, and then they wouldn't realize what they did. And there's a theory out there, because Jack Ruby, the psychiatrist that they had hired to basically assess him for the court, turned out to be an MK Ultra psychologist. Okay. And shortly after this MK Ultra psychologist visited Jack Ruby in his cell, Jack Ruby went crazy.
Imagine
insane.
Go figure.
And this psychologist that visited him was like an expert in administering drugs and techniques that would cause a person to go permanently insane.
So we just snuck him tons of acid, probably.
Yeah, or there's much more serious drugs than that. So if you know about Alexander Shulgin, he's a brain chemist, and for a number of years, the DEA allowed him to keep all these substances, because he knew more about drugs than the DEA did, and he did a lot of the research for the DEA into these substances and drugs.
So there's kind of there's a modern equivalent here with Kanye and his handler online. I don't think if you might have heard of this guy named
Shulgin said he had a drug called the Wizard that he created, which made LSD look like a multivitamin.
Whoa. But anyway, this guy Harley Pasternak is another guy whose name comes up a lot when it comes up to when it comes to MK Ultra handlers. He was the one that was threatening to institutionalize Kanye West just recently, and he's a supposed trainer. Yeah, not so much.
Oh, he's an interesting one. This is a newer guy. They hypnotize a lot of Hollywood. There's a lot of people in Hollywood that they said were hypnotized and stuff, including like Mike Tyson, apparently.
Yeah.
He would be hypnotized before his fights and stuff. But yeah, there's also Dr. William Joseph Bryan, who is allegedly, he was the so he got Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler, to admit to his crimes under hypnosis. Apparently, either that or he got him to, do it. I don't know, but it's weird. It's weird because this DeSalvo was written down in Sirhan's notebook, the name DeSalvo. So it was suspected that he was being treated by the same psychiatrist and had heard that name because he was, Joseph Bryan was working on the DeSalvo thing at the same time as, Sirhan would have had to have been, systematically hypnotized to become the patsy that would later shoot RFK. So yeah, this is all weird stuff. What was the Jolly and West was the name of the Doc Louis Jolly West. Yeah. So this is the guy that was Jack Ruby's lawyer. That was the expert in making people insane and was MK Ultra science, so of course the court would appoint, this psychopath to go and treat Jack Ruby, one of the most important witnesses in history. So the CIA their cover up of the JFK assassination is obvious. It's their fingerprints, their hands are everywhere, all over the JFK assassination, and the even Lee Harvey Oswald, the top suspect, the guy who shoots Lee Harvey Oswald. All this has since come out in the past 60 years, and you still have government apologists, who claim that it's still they haven't even budged on their positions of this. The so-called skeptics and whatnot. It's a joke. But yeah, regardless of all this, also the how about that interesting thing with Bugliosi, the guy who wrote the big book, right? Vincent Bugliosi wrote this huge book, which was authority on the JFK assassination. They promoted it as that, right? But it turns out he's an MK Ultra lawyer that prosecuted Charles Manson, who was an MK Ultra victim, another MK Ultra victim, right? So Charles Manson, MK Ultra victim, right? The Manson murders and all that. Who knows? The CIA was behind. The CIA could have been behind that. There's not as much evidence for that as there is for the evidence that they were behind Ted Kaczynski's mental degradation. Because Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was a genius who was at Harvard University writing all these papers and stuff when he was inducted into this little psychological study in his second year at Harvard. Kaczynski participated in a study. Author Alston Chase wrote this book on it about this Harvard psychiatrist, and this is the CIA asshole right here, Henry Murray. This CIA scumbag piece of shit asshole set up this psychiatry program at Harvard and took bright young minds like Ted, right? This guy, he was actually I think his second year there, and he was younger. He was so smart they brought him into college early, so he was even more young and vulnerable, right? They brought Ted into a room, gave him LSD, and then had all his professor. They had him. Well, they had him write a paper about all his aspirations and what he wanted to do at Harvard and with his life, and all these ideas and whatever. They wrote this into this big essay. And then this asshole read that essay, gave the dude LSD, and then just totally ripped apart his entire thesis, like for hours on camera, and played it back to them. Well, the guy was on LSD, so you can't really respond when you're tripping and you're in this weird state. And so and they would play this back to them, and they did this whole berating this program that was designed to see how if they could just psychologically break a person. And of course it worked. Yeah, of course you're going to psychologically break people when they're young at Harvard. Your professors and your whole outlook on life, that's everything to you. Imagine you being on the worst LSD trip of your life, coming from that high of
your human rights abuses, and psychologically sick.
Well, this is CIA blowback, because later in life, Ted Kaczynski became so mad at the whole system and everything that he saw going on, having understood it now through being introduced to this whole crap. I guess he a lot of other innocent people paid the price for what this blowback essentially for what the CIA did. The CIA basically, and there's been tons of these people that they later turn out that they were psychological mind control experiments, that went wrong and stuff. For example, one of my favorites is one of my favorite ones. One of the ones I think is the most obvious is the Batman shooter, James Holmes. Yeah, that's his name, right? This guy,
right? Yeah, what?
Oh, that dude is obvious. Yeah,
it's obvious that they did this to him. So someone did this.
His mind is literally fried.
He went from this to this, and this. Why am I here? What's going on? What did they do to me? Yeah, this is crazy, man. So this is why I would never agree to participate in a Brown University or Harvard University psychological study. In fact, I whenever I see things for those, I would go just to go and meet the people running it and get information, and then not participate in the study, just go to the initial thing to kind of document it and see what the hell they're doing in there, because this is so much horrible things have been done. Did you guys know that there was all these state hospitals all around Rhode Island and all around Massachusetts way back in the day? And I've been doing research into these lately, because living in the area of Massachusetts and learning about some of the state hospitals that were here, and understanding the doctors and the medical and psychological experiments that went on in some of these hospitals that were connected to even earlier stuff than, this is pre-OSS, some of these state hospitals and the tuberculosis camps. There's a Rutland prison camp. I just went and visited the whole facility. This place exists out here in Massachusetts, and this is like the food storage places. There's this whole farm and this whole hospital that existed out there in the middle of nowhere. It's I think 900 acres or something ridiculous, and it's all like this land that used to be this old prison camp and one of these old state hospitals system. And then years ago, right, you look up Rhode Island highway bodies, right? They were digging up the highway to redo some of the highway, and they found hundreds of skeletons, human skeletons. And they're like, what? Where did these come from? And so these people were searching for their grave site for their their deceased relatives, ancestors, came across this, and they realized that there was all these historic state cemeteries that were for the state farm. So they had this state farm, these prison camps and these facilities where just people would go, and you'd go to be forgotten about and die. and be tortured, have weird medical experiments done on you. They probably developed diseases and biological warfare agents out at these types of places. Like you look into like the history of some of the stuff, and it's all documented. Like they did horrible medical experiments on people for decades and decades, and none of it's documented or accounted for. Like, I mean, they the graves that they found out there in the middle of nowhere. And that's like nothing. Yeah, it's crazy that what people don't know about the deep dark history of the medical industry and the state hospital system and all that. So I think that's I'm eventually gonna put a lot of that research together and do a documentary on it, because it's something that's it's something that needs to be, it's a story that needs to be told. Like there's literally hundreds and hundreds of people and all these different facilities. Just look up, all those places. I mean, this is like, it's crazy. Anyways,
trying to get in, so I'll hop out for a minute.
Yeah, I'm getting some people. I want to jump in. The new disclosure tonight, people.
Let's get UFO Snowden.
Who's AKA? Kylie, did they? AKA, are you on? Do you want to? I'm gonna drop you if you don't speak.
Definitely. Hey, what's up, you guys?
Anything? Are you UFO Snowden? Are you out there?
No, I really wish I was, but I'm not. It's good to be here with you guys, though.
I can barely hear you, man. You're really faint and broken up. But yeah, the acid test parties, they would give acid to all kinds of people. Look up. So there's a whole documentary I have on the whole MK Ultra thing that was put out in the 70s. 1970s MK Ultra documentary. I don't know if you find it looking for that. Yeah, Mission Mind Control, 1979. That's the name of it. Yeah, go watch this. This is crazy. It goes into the whole story of Frank Olson. Is that his name? Yeah, Frank Olson. What a guy, huh? So they gave him LSD, and he apparently jumped out a window and killed himself. But it took 20 years for the CIA to admit that part of it. But it took even longer for it to come out eventually that, yeah, he didn't just, get dosed with LSD and kill himself. We kind of dosed him with LSD and made him kill himself because he knew too much about some of these other projects that he had worked on, including, he was at Operation Sea Spray, right? So I didn't believe in chemtrails or any of that stuff until I found out about this, and I'm like, wow, it connects to this guy. He was basically an agriculturalist. He got a degree in agriculture, but instead of growing plants for the government, he was killing plants for the government, and they developed different. This is where Agent Orange came out of these. The spray that the stuff that they sprayed on Vietnam to kill all the foliage that poisoned the ground and poisoned people for generations, left all kinds of nasty, things that are forever chemicals over there. And yeah, this Operation Sea Spray stuff, they sprayed Americans in the San Francisco Bay Area with diseases and other stuff. It's just nasty, the things that the government has done to the American people without their knowledge or legal consent, like things that are just completely illegal. The Tuskegee experiments where they gave syphilis to black communities to study the spread of syphilis and what it would do in long scale, long-term untreated syphilis to monitor the effects of it. So they got all these people lined up, told them that they were getting vaccinated. Oh, come get your shot. You're getting a vaccine. Come get you need to get your vaccine. And, and instead of giving them vaccines, the government actually gave these people syphilis as part of a study. Okay. And to think that this kind of shit can't happen today, you're fucking stupid. I'm sorry. To think that they still can't get away with it, they still couldn't do stuff like this today, you're out of your fucking tits. Sorry. You are. This is Total Disclosure Live. And if you can't handle the truth, you're in the wrong place, buddy. What do you guys think about Tucker Carlson? Do you think he's controlled opposition, or do you think he's really, after the truth and wants to turn a leaf over now that he got kicked off Fox News? Or do you think it was all like a scam? Because no one's really replaced him, in the mainstream media.
I for one love Tucker. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and he gets kicked out of places for that.
Yeah.
Power to him.
Free speech.
Yeah, me too. I really dig Tucker. I mean, I used to not like him because he used to offend me, but I got past that, and I'm a big fan now.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says, but I do believe that his heart is in the right place.
Totally.
And he doesn't get everything right, but he does. His core values are there. He's got the core values. That's what I like about him.
I mean, I'd love to. I wouldn't definitely wouldn't give up the opportunity to go on his platform or to have him on here.
Definitely.
Imagine
he's
if we
apologized,
dude. Imagine if we could get Tucker to host Total Disclosure Live.
That would definitely do it.
Tucker, it needs to happen.
Catastrophic.
He apologized for pushing the vaccine too.
Yeah, he was saying, he was one of the guys saying I was against forced anything. For any kind of forced medical anything is bad, in my opinion.
Agreed. It's
your body, your choice.
My only hope is they kept to some sort of medical normacy where they by medical non-malpractice gave 50% of the population saline solution as a control that they claimed were giving the vax to. So it's they only did half the amount of damage, but who knows?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this Tuskegee experiment, that some of the batches they put out were just kill shots or other gene-specific bioweapons, because they can do a lot with the this was talked about by Ed Boucher and others 20 years ago.
What happened in Iran, what happened in North Korea and stuff, it was crazy.
He was explaining these that they were going to make genetic bioweapons that were going to kill certain aspects of the population years ago, before all this. So it would be easy to hide something like that in just a few batches, and then you could just and then have to wonder about all the athletes that developed cardiovascular illnesses and were dropping dead on the playing field and everything else.
Remember
and then all
that one guy, God rest his soul, or hopefully he's still alive, that called in a year ago from the hospital, live to your show, that was seizuring and stuff, just wanting to document his story. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you get all these people out there. There was this guy, the Real Truther, that was on Twitter for a while, holding all these spaces, and he was just a real dominating, he would make it an echo chamber, and he'd kick at basically berate, and they'd all make fun of you, and they, if you question anything, and they demand, instead of making it about we should have some proof of safety and some study and actual numbers going on, he would constantly cite all these studies that were being done they're paying for all these studies to be done to debunk all this stuff, and it's you can massage and manipulate the data any way you want at the end of the day to prove what you're trying to prove, and you have to look in all the money that's involved in this to even wonder who you should trust. And they're oh, you won't trust the study because it was done by Pfizer, and they'll make fun of you for that you don't trust the study that was done by Pfizer or done by this other company that you've linked to bad money and all this. And you realize that these medical studies that you're citing as data and proof, they're not legitimate studies. They're in fact more vaccine propaganda or paid advertising for your product. And which, if your product was any good, you wouldn't need to fucking sell it. You wouldn't need any of this crap.
That reminds me of that GIF that you posted on Twitter the other day. 97% of scientists agree with whatever's funding them.
That's absolutely
exactly.
Look,
Brilliant.
it's all right if you disagree. I know there's plenty of people that disagree, and I don't want people to think that everyone, your family who got vaccinated are going to drop dead, because that's a horrible thing to deal with. Like, I understand why a lot of people fight against these conspiracy theories. You're not going to drop dead. You're not going to drop dead if you don't get the vaccine. You're not going to drop dead if you do. This is all marketing, as far as I'm concerned, by these pharmaceutical companies that are just way out of control. All the doctors went along with it because it's under the guise of that you're helping people and doing
just like the opiate epidemic that was started by doctors.
Oh, right.
They're helping people, right? Like,
so they want to go. Matt, look at how far these people went to go and control ivermectin, but you don't see them going that far to stop opiates, the fentanyl epidemic. Right? No, yeah, but it's crazy what they demonize. It's what cuts into their profits. At the end of the day, they're making tons of money. They made tons of money off of OxyContin. And pushing, they pushed all the people onto Oxycontins for years for pain medications, and then they took it off the market, and did stuff. A lot of people went to heroin and stuff. Man, the pill mills. Yeah, there was
epidemic.
It's crazy what's happened.
I wish I
got
magnetic
arms. LOL. I'm glad.
I want magnetic arms.
Happy, man. I would hate to think that, and I hate to spread misinformation, because there's a lot of misinformation out there that says like, oh, this it's it's not, I don't think it's as bad as anyone says or as good as anyone says. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the end of the day, you have to be able to hide that. If you're doing nefarious activities, you got to be able to hide that. So you're not going to like put out a shot that just kills everyone,
Yeah, absolutely. It was experimental is what it was. It was forced experimentalization on the general population.
What about de-sterilization? They could, sterilization. They could make the vaccine sterilize people, and they wouldn't even find out or know until like a while later. So I don't know. There's all kinds of weird stuff.
Literally posted a meme the other day.
I don't trust these guys, man. They're doing gain of function research over there at a Chinese Wuhan lab, and something leaked out, and then they blamed it on the wet market and said it came from bat soup, and you're racist if you think
the pangolin intermediate.
Oh my god!
Never forget the pangolin. Or that they were caught with sneaking it out of the Winnipeg virology lab 5 years earlier.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyways, I don't know. I would love to have someone get on here and argue against all this stuff and disprove it all. But so much more research needs to be done on mRNA gene therapy and, spike proteins and all that stuff before we know we can trust it as a, way that they can't doctor it up, man. I don't know.
It also made it mass acceptable. And the thing is like, now that you're gene editing that, then you can pretty much gene edit anything going forward, at least especially for experimentational purposes.
Yeah.
And it's a huge ethics boundary that they've crossed and just, forced in there and crossed without, even discussing it yet, right?
So, I want to interject real quick. Sorry, I just want to say I'm gonna hop off the stage here soon, but I put together one last explanation to try and understand that spiral motion of space, and it's basically their explanation of how they communicate faster than light. So, you want me to do this now, or I kind of interrupted what you were saying there?
Taylor, by the way, I really love your analysis on all these books you've read. I really appreciate it. Go for it.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Perfect. So, yeah, so what they're saying with this spiral motion of space is that they have something what they call artificial field scanning. So they give an analogy that we use electromagnetic fields to communicate, and we're in our cars and we're using cell phones, and that works because electromagnetic fields are going faster than our cars. But when you're in a UFO going at the speed of light, you need a way to communicate faster than light. Otherwise, it's backwards. So your communication needs to be faster or as fast as the movement of your craft. So they say that the next stage up to our communications is what they call artificial field scanning, and they say it's the essence is to change the cylindrical spiral motion of space, and this also measuring with lasers, we also get dissipation as it travels through space as a medium. So this artificial field scanning, there's no energy dissipation when you use it. So let's see here. And that they also have this philosophy about the universe being made up of object particles and space. And so if you use object particles to communicate, it's backwards. But if you use space itself to communicate, it's the fastest method. And that's because they say space has no mass and no charge like objects. So it's not subject to the constraint on its speed of motion. They also make a comparison to quantum entanglement. And then my last little bit here is that they explain how they use this artificial field scanning to basically float people through walls. And this is something they do specifically in this abduction. And we've heard this from other abduction stories, being floated through walls. Some people speculate, oh, that means it must just be out of body. But here's an explanation in which they are physically floating you through a wall. And they point out that the reason we can't pass through walls is the electromagnetic forces between atoms. It keeps my hand from going through my other hand. But by, I guess, irradiating space around the object and changing the spiral motion of space, they can make those electromagnetic forces disappear in the object so that two solids can pass through each other. They also have this explanation, their equation. They say that momentum for us on Earth is mass times velocity, but their concept of momentum is the vector velocity of light minus the velocity of the object's motion times its mass. I'll admit I haven't studied physics in a long time, so I can't interpret that, but maybe that's interesting to somebody. There's also a lot of interesting consciousness.
That just sounds like relative velocity, because you're taking the velocity of light minus your speed, so that's just your relative velocity. So that is actually P equals mv still, right? Because it's just your units have to be the same, because you said it's just multiplied by the mass. So the other things have to be equal to v, right, to keep the units consistent. Because if it's momentum, you can't have you have a different interpretation of momentum, but it's just the units are different. But anyways, go on.
Okay. So they do all these weird things with consciousness, and they seem to understand it. One, they say that the charged particles and ions in the human brain can exert interference on the surrounding space, causing fluctuations in space itself. And that also explains how remote viewing and some of the psychic phenomena seems to travel at light speed. Even people talking about out-of-body experiences shooting across the universe. And they specifically take the man that they abducted, they take him out of his body, and he's watching them do a physical experiment and do some slices on his physical body. So the nature of this field technology also seems to be they can measure and directly input information into the brain. And later in the book, they talk about moving their consciousness into different bodies with this. So that's some of that. Again, I'm more interested in the consciousness field, so there's some great stuff in that book about that. I'll end my bit there. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that, too. That's some epic analysis and information that Jeremy, that's like it's physically sound within relativity, correct? So everything he's talked about.
That's why I recommend this book. So I'm the guy who finds the best books. I guess I'll make a small plug. I have a Twitter account is at Chillaverse, ChillaVerse. And I'm making a website to collect all of these quotes and books and knowledge base so that people can find the highest quality things that I've gone through, and you just use a filter. I want to know about the science stuff. I want to know about the consciousness stuff. And then you find the best quotes and then you follow up with it on yourself. I don't want to do as much time trying to tell you what it means. It's just like, here's what this is. Go look at it yourself, see if you can use it. So
And I'll post a link. I'll post a link to that in the description below so that people can find it. I didn't realize I'm still sharing. Let me. Yes, just definitely get in touch with me. You can email me at thealienscientist@gmail.com if you have anything to send. I also have a Proton Mail account. If people don't trust Gmail to send me stuff, they can send it to Proton Mail. I got the email from Professor Q. I passed that along to Michael and others, and we'll definitely be looking into those links. Thank you for that, and please send us some more stuff, man. I want more. I want more papers, man. I want more. Like, if we can get more scientists or more name, because a lot of those papers are cool. We're gonna get those names of those scientists and reach out and try to contact them, see if they can tell us more information. Because, those post date the things that we're looking for. So we're looking for those scientists to be like, yeah, we published this thing, but yeah, we've been working on this technology since way back, and I'd love to see what they have to say about that material specifically, because if I reach out to those guys individually, I know they're not connected to these, to Josh and his crew, right? And they're these completely independent scientists, and if they come out and say, yeah, that material that TTSA put out, that metamaterial is the stuff, then I'm going to believe them. I'm going to tend to believe them a little bit more, and I'm going to be like, Michael, let's look into this, like now we need to start building this stuff and experimenting with these graphene and bismuth, magnesium aerogels and all this stuff. Because, I want to figure out what these things are and how they work, man.
At the very least, it would make for one hell of a cool hoverboard, right? Like, first step there, getting a hoverboard, right?
Yeah. I mean,
check.
I totally see that. UFO Snowden, are you out there? And
Taylor, by the way, how long have you been researching this for?
This is 2017 is at the end of high school for me that I was started getting interested in these subjects, saw that I just took it seriously then, and I wasn't, I was pretty young, so I wasn't skeptical.
That's when the article came out in the New York Times, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what triggered it for me as well. I started reading all these books and trying to connect the dots. Really love your research. I'd like to learn a little more of what you've read. I went down the Gaia route. I listened to a whole bunch of that shit. I could tell you up front, there's not much there.
Yeah, no, that's why we put this together.
It's still an empty hangar with an echo.
We're expediting disclosure, man. Like, we're taking years off of their timeline, man.
Taylor, you're looking in the right places. It's in those books. Try to pick out the little pieces of information, the rotating field. This is stuff that we're recently finding out from DARPA and researchers that are being paid.
We know Ralph Ring. We know about that OdySee car. I know the whole story of that, dude. The OTX.
That was right here in New Jersey.
OTC X1, and yeah, that was all. That's all ancient
Taylor, where are
history,
you based
guys.
out of?
I'm on the East Coast. I think actually I joined this chat because I saw Falcon Labs. I knew Jeremy's name and I saw your guys' site because I saw an article about the FBI visiting you, asking about UAP stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were asking if we have any enriched uranium. That was crazy. We're on the East Coast, are you?
Guys, we
not
gotta
far from Philadelphia, but
we're almost at 4 hours today, so we got to wrap it up soon. But yeah, this is the walkabout for UFO tech and the research, man. We're definitely going on it, and we're going out on a limb here to do this for you all. I hope you know the sacrifice that we're potentially making, because you know, this is not this could get dangerous. There's a lot of people that don't want total disclosure, catastrophic disclosure live. So I'm sure there's going to be some opposition to this, but hey, we're going to keep posting this, and there's people out there watching that are too afraid to come forward right now. But as this goes on and they start seeing more and more what we're talking about and what we're going to disclose here every day on this podcast, they're going to start, getting and feeling more empowered and getting, I hope that they're making preparations and getting things ready, because, man, after Christmas, the shit's going to hit the fan. All right. Yeah. By New Year's and everything else, dude, 2024 is going to be a wild one, ladies and gentlemen. So strap yourselves in. And if our window is going to close, man. UFO Snowden, if you're out there, man, you gotta come forward, man, because humanity's on a dark, bad path. And we need to save it.
Well said, brother. Well said. 4 epic hours. Day
Press
3.
forward.
Yeah. Oh, we got it, man. Cute, man. I'm hearing it, man. And listen, thank you for the information. We're putting it all out there. We're analyzing it like we do, and it's out there, man. That they can't put the aerogel bismuth, magnesium layered aerogel back in the box now. All right, I'm telling. All right, I know.
We're
listening,
we're
man.
gonna catch them through the anti-gravity vehicle certification registration.
Yes, either way, if we get them on, we get these people on file. I don't know, prank calling you back. That's still good. It's a good prank call, even if it was. I don't know. Hey.
Right, who knows? Maybe it's a normal
thing.
Normal thing. Yeah.
Listen there, liver lips. All right. I'll catch you later there, sizzle chest.
Much love, brother. Thank you for doing this, and don't get snowed into yourself, and don't get Julian Assange. The truth needs to come out. Let it be. Let humanity be free. And let Mark and Jeremy build it.
Yes. I say, this is how disclosure is going to go. I take him, you're going to give us this disclosure. And I put his face down on the UFO and I say, I says to him, this is how it's going to go. So I'm trying my best Frank Rizzo impression there for the prank calls. Anyways,
Mr. Denio Alien is cracking me up with all his faces.
Yes, I was very hurt. The government wouldn't give me the truth, and I want to sue them for punitive damages. So, thanks, guys, and we're going to continue this stream tomorrow. On tomorrow, we're going to be, maybe digging into this more with the material science team. And look, we're going to get back to it. We're going to have Josh back on, hopefully get Professor Q on. We're going to get Professor Simon on here for sure. That crazy Scottish goat farmer.
Taylor, if you can join us tomorrow and give us some more updates like that, that'll be very helpful. I found lots of little nuggets in science books like that before.
Heck yeah! Thanks for this, man. This is epic. If that turns out that material is in fact, what you guys claim it is, then you successfully brought disclosure, and but let's I'm not gonna jump fully on board with that and hang myself and cut my teeth on anything, because I've been doing this a long time too. So we always got to keep an open mind for possibilities that maybe it is aliens, maybe it did come from a UFO, and that you guys are part of the cover up, trying to tell me it's aerogels, man. We already know. We know it's aliens. And anyways, yeah, go back and watch the first half. There's a lot of good information here, and go back and watch. I'm going to be doing. We should do some clips and of the best information and bring this out. So yeah, again, you never know, man. So it's keep asking questions and keep investigating, keep the information flowing to this channel. If anything you got that's good, please bring it our way, and let's. We're making head progress. I think they're. I think that they're very scared that they can no longer control the narrative on this. Their narrative is falling apart, and they can no longer control disclosure anymore. And that's their own fault. I mean, this is blowback for years of, dosing people with LSD, doing crazy medical experiments, making people go crazy, hypnotizing people to shoot people and then not know what they did. That has consequences.
Jeremy, let's get Alex Jones on.
Right?
Alex, there's so much stuff.
Curtis has a connection to that. Let's make that happen.
The thing is, Alex likes to be the king of his own jungle. He likes to be T-Rex. So, he's not going to come on here and where he's no longer the intellectual superior that he's just going to. We're like brain. We're like this is like the brain group. We friggin'. Alex is a good hype man and a pundit and all this stuff, but he's not like he's not like the best researcher. He relied on.
How about Bob Greener?
He hired Dan Bidondi to the InfoWars reporter team. Okay, 10 years ago, during the whole Boston Marathon bombing. I remember that. This guy's a professional wrestler from Rhode Island, and I mean, no offense to Dan. Dan's in trying to do the right thing, but you can do better.
How about we get Bob Greener on?
Do better for researchers, man.
I gotta
get intellectuals on.
Memorial
Project, wrestlers.
Bob Greener.
That's what Alex Jones is. He's the professional wrestling of the conspiracy world, right? He's the WWE.
Let's get off of that. Let's get off of that and go with Bob Greener. He's really nice.
Yeah, Bob Green. I got some interviews coming up too with some interesting characters with a lot to say about disclosure and what the government's been up to that people have no idea about. It's way worse than you can possibly imagine, and it's all coming out. And we're not afraid to talk about any of it as long as it's fact check and verifiable. Like we're doing with this, aerogel balloon tech stuff. If that's what these UFOs really are, we're gonna find out. And if they're covering up aliens, we're going to find that out too, man. This is what Disclosure Live is all about. And this is, we have a great team here, man. I don't think we need you, the audience. All right. We don't need Mick West. We need you, the audience. All right. And you guys are awesome. We can't do it without you. And the fact that so many of you have, reached out and shown your appreciation for what we're doing. That's all we need, man. That keeps us going and keeps us doing this. So appreciate all those super chats. I'm going to go back through them real quick. This gentleman right down here. Thank you. That's him right here, right below me, smoking a cigarette. Thank you for the super chats, brother. Every little bit helps. That's awesome, brother. So, $10 Harry Toe. The Schumer bill. You got to watch the whole thing with. We did a podcast on that with Stephen Bassett. So definitely go back and watch that one. And all this legislation stuff. There's no brief explanation. Okay. I'm sorry, it's very convoluted, complex language, and they hit a lot of crazy stuff in the bill, and then they changed the bill and edited it so that it would get, and now they're completely rewriting it, and there's just no relying on these people anymore to legislate our way out of the problem, and that's why we're doing Catastrophic Disclosure Live. Order yourself some food, Jeremy. Thanks for being so dedicated to the cause. Much love from Vancouver, bro. Thank you again, Parrish, for that super chat. I got even more here. More love for Catastrophic Disclosure Live. Thank you for that. Again, Comp is with us right below me here. Thank you, brother, for all the love, keeping the stream, keeping this whole boat floating. Huge alien scientist revelation in 2023. Russell Targ